First, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver spoke to reporters yesterday in Las Vegas after the Board of Governors meeting, and the league rules regarding tampering and free agency were the main issue at hand. "I don't know what will happen," one owner told me. "All I know is that we need a plan that everybody adheres to." You think? What was the tip-off? Kevin Durant announcing his decision to join the Brooklyn Nets on social media before free agency officially opened on June 30th? Or all those tweets reporting the exact contract details hitting the second free agency began? The league knows it has a problem, and Adam Silver is open to doing whatever he can to address it. But what can be done? I'm told the owners in that room weren't ready to discuss switching the order of the draft and free agency. But there was a discussion about letting teams talk to their own free agents after the season and ending or changing the moratorium period altogether. Here's Adam Silver.
Obviously, if deals are being announced immediately after the discussion period begins, there have been prior discussions. And I think to a certain extent, we always knew that there was some leakage, some slippage around those deadlines. And I think there was a certain amount that historically had been acceptable in the league. I think the consensus at both our committee meetings and the board meeting was that we need to revisit and reset those rules. I'd say number one, some of the rules we have in place may not make sense. I think that's what we discussed. I think it's pointless at the end of the day to have rules that we can't enforce.
Well, Rachel's usually on this soapbox on this show, right? So I'll just get on the soapbox for her. It's been obvious that the league has an issue with the tampering rules for quite some time. Do you think we're in a good place now to at least start addressing them? And is there anything that can actually be done?
I mean, look, the tampering rules are a joke. And forget players talking to each other. Mm-hmm. If you're a front office and you're not, before free agency officially opens, you're not talking to at least agents and getting a feel for the market, you're behind the other 29 teams. And so if you want to actually have rules you can enforce, you have to completely, recreate what those rules are, because right now they're not being enforced and nobody's following them.
Well, they're selectively being enforced. And I think one of the things that I don't know if people quite understand is the way this works is the draft is right before free agency. And so you have an opportunity to talk to all the agents and the players through that draft process. And while you're talking to that agent, maybe some free agent's name comes up. And that little gray area has gone to now standard operating procedure, because there's not much that teams can do. If you're not playing that way, you're behind.
And if you close one door, they'll find another door. Like Doc was brilliant. $50,000 to say on national television, you know what? Kawhi Leonard's like Michael Jordan. Money well spent. Fine him. Maybe other guys will do that now. Like Garrett Temple, I had an hour before the thing opened that he was agreed to a 2-year deal.
How can you?
Come on, man. It's a waste of time, a waste of energy. There's I think whatever he said about just letting it go early.
Yeah.
Just letting it go early.
I mean, there's a lot of money in the NBA, but not enough for them to create time machines, and that's the only way that it would be possible for all these deals to be getting done the second free agency opens, or, like you said, an hour before, without widespread tampering. So,
and unless you're an A-list guy and your agent says, hey, man, the Nets got a 2-year deal for you, and these are your other options. What do you think? And you could decide before. It's silly.
And let's revisit why we even have a moratorium, okay? The reason why there's a week in there when the salary cap is set to when you can actually consummate the deals that are agreed upon and the trades that are agreed upon is because the salary cap numbers come in, and that is how the maximum salary, every team's cap comes in. The revenue from last year comes in, and that's how people account for what the salary cap's going to be and what maximum contracts are going to be. It's fine. Just pick a day now and say what the cap's going to be and adjust the figures later. I mean, I know it matters in terms of how much you can give to people, but we've gotten now to the point where if you don't do it, the NBA has been so good on tampering and so good on transparency issues, like especially with gambling. Why not just change this now? We all know that this happens, and so get it out into the open.
Right, and Adam Silver also addressed the whole thing with the draft hats. And, a guy is officially one team's draft pick, where everybody knows at the time that he's walking up there with a hat that he'll never wear again. And so, to me, flipping free agency in the draft makes sense for a lot of reasons, cosmetic and, just because it's essentially already being done.
They're FaceTime each other, they're texting each other. I mean, what if a agent gets FaceTimed by a GM and hands the guy the phone? Is that against the rules?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like just get it out in the open.
This phone, like there's too many special things that you could do with this thing now.
There's a lot of ways around the current rules, but let's be honest, the current rules are ignored pretty much anyway.
Well, they're selectively, they're ignored, or they're every once in a while somebody gets made an example of just to say that we have them. But
and
I think the league
Doc's favor being made example of, right?
Yeah, it did. But I also think that when you get to the point where everybody knows what's going on and you're trying to look the other way and pretend it's not happening, it's time to change the rules.
Yeah.
And I think the league is in front of that, and they know that. The question is there anything you can actually do?
Yeah, once the season's over, it's free agents are fair game. Now, if you want to have, whatever the date is you can't officially sign them until X date, fine, but they're fair game anyway.
These things are
that's
done
kind of the
before the
gentleman,
season's
right?
over,
It's the gentleman's agreement anyway. So that's the rule. It's that simple.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.